Listen closely. Weak men break. Ruthless men bend reality. You've been told to. Trust the process. Forget that. Trust yourself and build a mind so sharp it cuts through fear, pain, and failure. Every time you quit, you teach your mind to obey weakness. Every time you persist, you teach it to conquer. The world doesn't reward the moral. It rewards the strategic. You don't need motivation. You need control. You don't need balance. You need dominance. To win in a world built on deceit, you must become more cunning than those who deceive. That's not evil. That's evolution. Train your mind like a blade. Eliminate hesitation, destroy doubt. When others break, you adapt. When they beg for fairness, you build power. When they quit, you rise. Because success isn't given, it's taken. And the man who never quits eventually takes everything. Comment, "My will is my weapon," if you understand. Welcome to Machiavellian mode, where victory is your only virtue. Number 1. Understanding ruthless. Mental training the Machiavellian way. The first rule of ruthless mental training is this: stop negotiating with weakness. Your emotions are not your allies. They are tests. Every doubt, every flicker of fear, every whisper that tells you to quit is the enemy inside your mind trying to reclaim control. Machiavelli taught that power belongs to those who master perception, and the first perception to conquer is the one you have of yourself. You are not fragile. You are untapped potential, forged through pressure. The world manipulates the weak through comfort, and you've been drugged by it your whole life. Endless pleasure, distractions, fake motivation. Real strength is built in silence. When you choose discipline over ease, logic over emotion, results over excuses. When your body screams, "Stop!" your mind must whisper, "Go." This is not about motivation. It's about domination. To live like a Machiavellian is to remove all sentiment from your pursuit and replace it with cold precision. Every morning you wake up, you either conquer your own mind or become its victim. Train yourself to think strategically, act decisively, and never depend on the approval of the mediocre. Comment, "Discipline is my throne," if you're ready to build the mind of a conqueror. Number 2. The psychology of power. Control the mind, control the game. Power begins in the mind long before it manifests in the world. Every empire, every revolution, every victory was first a single ruthless thought in the mind of someone who refused to bow. Understand this. Control is not about manipulating others first. It's about mastering yourself to such an extreme that others naturally fall in line. The Machiavellian mind is not ruled by impulse. It is governed by intention. You don't react. You calculate. You don't seek validation. You project certainty until it becomes reality. Weak men want to be understood. Powerful men want to be obeyed. The world bends to those who are emotionally untouchable and strategically patient. Dark psychology teaches that the one who controls the frame controls the outcome. When people see you as immovable, their instincts shift. They comply, they respect, they follow. You must become the calm in chaos, the silence that intimidates louder than any shout. The secret is emotional detachment. You don't need to be liked, you need to be effective. You don't seek revenge, you design it. You don't hope, you plan. Every emotion you feel is fuel, but you decide where it burns. When anger strikes, you channel it into precision. When fear whispers, you dissect it with reason. You turn emotion into leverage, never letting it spill uncontrolled. The mind trained in this way becomes a fortress, cold, focused, deliberate. Others will call you heartless, but that's because they mistake control for cruelty. In truth, control is compassion for your future self. Every day remind yourself chaos feeds on emotion, but order thrives on discipline. The Machiavellian way isn't about faking strength. It's about constructing it from the ground up, layer by layer, thought by thought, until nothing external can break your inner empire. Comment, "My mind is my empire," if you're ready to rule from within. Number 3, the art of ruthless persistence. The power of relentless execution. The weak stop when it hurts. The powerful keep moving until the pain becomes irrelevant. Persistence is not about motivation, it's about identity. When you train your mind ruthlessly, quitting ceases to exist as an option. It becomes a foreign language your psyche refuses to speak. Every man who has built power, wealth, or legacy has done so by mastering the art of repetition without emotion. You act, you fail, you adjust, you act again. You move with precision, not passion. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but the truth is, fortune bows to the relentless. Persistence is a weapon sharper than intelligence, louder than talent, and more feared than strength. The man who simply refuses to stop becomes inevitable. You must program your mind to see obstacles as instructions, not interruptions. When life resists you, it's not a sign to retreat. It's a signal to evolve. The modern world glorifies comfort, but comfort kills hunger. And without hunger, there is no dominance. Every setback you face is a psychological jewel, testing whether your desire to win exceeds your tolerance for pain. When you push through, you build mental calluses that make you immune to defeat. This is what separates kings from pawns, conquerors from dreamers. Ruthless persistence means you keep advancing, even when logic says quit, even when no one believes, even when the reward seems distant. It's an internal contract. I will not stop until I win. And if I must suffer, I will suffer strategically. Pain becomes your currency, and every ounce of it buys your future. When you learn to execute relentlessly without emotional interference, you no longer chase success. You attract it through inevitability. The world can't deny a man who simply refuses to vanish. Comment, relentless execution is my creed if you're ready to become unstoppable. Number 4, emotional detachment, the weapon of the superior mind. The moment you detach from emotion, you ascend. Above the masses, most people are enslaved by their feelings. Anger, fear, envy, guilt, chains disguised as humanity. But the Machiavellian mind understands that emotions are tools, not masters. To rule your world, you must first rule your reactions. Detachment is not coldness. It is control. It is the art of observing chaos without becoming part of it. The weak are reactive. They mirror the energy of the environment, constantly shifting between extremes. The strong remain still, calm, deliberate. When others panic, you analyze. When others rage, you calculate. When others crumble, you stand motionless and wait for the perfect moment to strike. That's how power is built, not through noise, but through silence. The man who can appear unshaken, unreadable, and unmoved becomes unpredictable. And unpredictability is fear disguised as respect. You must learn to look at loss, betrayal, and humiliation as data, not wounds. Every emotional storm is a test, and each one you master strengthens your control. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means channeling your emotions into strategy. Anger becomes focus, pain becomes resilience, fear becomes precision. When you stop reacting impulsively, you begin influencing effortlessly. Others will exhaust themselves trying to pull a reaction from you, while you conserve energy and move like a chess player 10 moves ahead. Detachment creates mystique, the aura of a man who cannot be manipulated. People will call you heartless because they cannot control you. And that is the highest compliment. In a world driven by emotional chaos, stoic detachment is pure dominance. It grants you clarity while others drown in confusion. You stop chasing validation, stop explaining yourself, and start executing with quiet authority. Your calm becomes your weapon, your silence, your armor. Remember, the more emotion you show, the more control you surrender. The less you reveal, the more powerful you become. Every reaction is a transaction. Stop giving them for free. True power belongs to the man who feels everything but reveals nothing. Comment, my silence is my supremacy. If you're ready to detach and dominate your reality with absolute psychological control. Number 5, mastering strategic manipulation. The science of influence and control. Power isn't taken by brute force alone. It's earned through mastery of perception. Manipulation, when understood through the Machiavellian lens, is not deception for cruelty. It is influence for survival. The world itself is a chessboard of human desires, fears, and illusions. To win, you must learn to move pieces without revealing your hand. The truth is simple. People are driven by emotion, not logic. They crave validation, security, and belonging more than truth or reason. The Machiavellian mind uses this knowledge like a surgeon uses a scalpel with precision, not chaos. You don't manipulate to destroy. You manipulate to align outcomes with your purpose. Influence begins with observation. Before you can command, you must understand. Watch how people speak, react, and justify their weakness. Listen more than you talk, and you will hear the blueprint of their mind. The more they reveal, the more control you gain. Never show all your intentions. Let them think they understand you, but always keep the truth one layer deeper. Ambiguity breeds authority. Mystery compels obedience. The one who seems predictable is easily controlled. The one who remains unreadable becomes dangerous. Machiavelli taught that it is safer to be feared than loved. But the wise man becomes both by manipulating perception. Fear commands respect. Admiration sustains loyalty. You build both by balancing distance and reward. Show strength when challenged, compassion when it serves your strategy, and silence when others seek reaction. Control the rhythm of interaction. Speak less. Every word you say should either build loyalty or see out doubt. Never emptiness. Power grows in the shadows of silence and strategy. You must also master emotional mimicry, the ability to reflect the energy others project, making them feel seen while quietly guiding their behavior. People obey those who mirror their emotions because it tricks the brain into trust. Influence is psychological warfare, disguised as connection. Always remember, manipulation is not lying, it's direction. You are directing outcomes to serve the bigger vision. The world manipulates you every day. Advertisers, leaders, lovers, politicians. So why would you remain defenseless? To survive, you must adapt the same tools, but use them with purpose and precision. Strategic manipulation is the art of bending reality through human psychology. The masses move through impulse. You move through intent. Never let morality weaken your logic. To win the game, you must understand it deeper than anyone else. Comment, I control perception, therefore I control power. If you're ready to command the minds around you like a true Machiavellian. Number 6, building psychological supremacy, becoming the architect of power. The highest form of power is not physical domination or wealth. It is psychological supremacy. To reach it, you must evolve from reacting to existence to orchestrating it. The Machiavellian man understands that control of others begins with absolute control of self. Before you influence the world, you must bend your own instincts into obedience. Every emotion, every impulse, every desire must serve the grand design of your purpose. You do not chase satisfaction, you engineer it. You do not hope for victory, you manufacture it. The average man seeks comfort, but the superior man seeks control. The difference is monumental. Comfort is the coffin of ambition. Control is the crown of legacy. To build psychological supremacy, you must first dismantle everything soft within you. Weakness hides in the small habits, the distractions, the excuses, the self-pity that whispers rest when you should rise. Destroy them. Each indulgence you allow is a thread that ties you back to mediocrity. Cut them all. Understand this truth. People do not follow those who seek approval. They follow those who radiate authority. And authority is psychological. It is energy, presence, tone, and unshakable composure under pressure. You must learn to walk into any room as if you own the air itself. Speak rarely, but when you do, every word must carry gravity. Never explain yourself, never beg to be understood. Let your results speak in silence. True, power is never announced. It is felt. It lingers in the way you move, the calm in your gaze, the stillness in your energy. When chaos erupts around you, you must remain motionless inside because panic is the perfume of the powerless. The one who stays composed controls the direction of the storm. The world bows To psychological dominance, not emotional noise. Psychological supremacy also means understanding the primal instincts that govern human behavior. Every human being is ruled by a simple triad: fear, desire, and pride. Learn to read them, and you will see the world's strings. People crave validation, dread rejection, and worship power. Feed their ego when it serves you. Starve it when you need submission. Make them feel safe, and they'll open their secrets. Make them uncertain, and they'll chase your approval. Every interaction is a test of dominance, even if it's mastered as kindness. The Machiavellian mind never reacts emotionally. It calculates responses that build influence even when appearing indifferent. To dominate psychologically, you must operate like a mirror and a mask. Reflect their energy when it benefits you. Conceal your truth when it doesn't. The key is unpredictability. Predictable men are pawns in another's game. Unpredictable men write the rules. Your goal is to become unreadable yet magnetic, to exude an aura that demands respect without a single word. This aura is not fabricated. It's earned through mastery over fear. Fear is the invisible chain that binds the masses. The man who has conquered his fear is no longer human in the eyes of others. He becomes mythic. You must seek fear, study it, and dominate it until it loses meaning. When fear cannot move you, manipulation cannot reach you, and doubt cannot infect you. The truly powerful man is immune to intimidation because his validation comes up from within. He plays the game not to prove, but to prevail. Psychological supremacy also requires emotional minimalism. Waste no mental energy on resentment, jealousy, or vengeance. Those emotions are luxury distractions for small minds. The Machiavellian warrior doesn't chase revenge. He erases the need for it by ascending beyond the opponent. His victories are silent, strategic, and total. He eliminates threats not through chaos, but through controlled inevitability. His enemies self-destruct while he watches, calm and distant. This level of mental control creates an aura of inevitability that terrifies weaker men. You must cultivate that same presence, the quiet confidence of someone who cannot be shaken, bribed, or broken. To become the architect of power, you must think beyond moments. Every move must serve the greater pattern. Strategy must become your second nature. Every decision, small or large, must align with your higher objective. Discipline, patience, and detachment are your weapons. You no longer live for pleasure. You live for progress. When others celebrate, you plan. When others doubt, you observe. When others rest, you sharpen your blade. Psychological supremacy is not about appearing powerful. It's about being untouchable from within. The storms may rage, but you remain the mountain. The world's chaos becomes irrelevant when your inner world is ordered. And here lies the ultimate paradox. When you no longer seek power, you embody it. The moment you stop needing to prove dominance is when true dominance radiates from you. You become the calm in a world addicted to noise, the clarity in a society clouded by confusion. That is the essence of psychological supremacy. Not loud control, but silent inevitability. You become the gravity others orbit, the unseen force that bends outcomes in your favor without lifting a hand. Comment: I am the architect of my own supremacy. If you're ready to master the unseen battlefield of the mind and rule not through chaos, but through command. 7. The Machiavellian Code of Dominance, turning cold strategy into unstoppable power. Dominance is not a posture. It is a philosophy. It begins when you stop viewing power as something external and start crafting it as an internal state of being. The Machiavellian Code teaches that the world is not fair, moral, or kind. It is strategic. The man who accepts this truth gains clarity. The man who denies it becomes prey. To dominate, you must stop living by the rules built for the obedient and start writing your own laws of survival. Every empire, every dynasty, every legend was built by men who understood this. Morality is negotiable, but strength is absolute. The weak cling to ideals. The powerful bend them into tools. The first law of dominance is detachment from the need for fairness. Life will never play fair, and expecting it to do so is emotional suicide. The Machiavellian man does not cry for justice. He creates outcomes. He uses the game's corruption to his advantage. He studies the system, identifies its weaknesses, and manipulates them with surgical precision. Fairness is for the powerless. Results are for the rulers. The second law of dominance is control over perception. Power does not depend on truth. It depends on belief. People do not follow facts, they follow impressions. If they perceive you as strong, you are strong. If they sense doubt, you're already defeated. Your task is not to explain your strength, but to radiate it. Every gesture, every word, every silence must serve a purpose. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must appear both virtuous and ruthless, for perception builds loyalty and fear sustains order. To dominate, you must craft an image that projects authority but conceals intent. Smile when necessary, but never reveal your hunger. Praise when it benefits you, but never expose your strategy. Control what they see, and you control how they think. Influence is a weapon of shadows, not noise. The third law is emotional sovereignty. To dominate others, your emotions must kneel before your logic. Rage, jealousy, desperation. These are the weapons of the defeated. Coldness is your armor. Never let emotion dictate your reaction. A Machiavellian strategist may feel everything, but he reveals nothing. You observe, adapt, and respond. Only when timing favors victory. The most dangerous man is not the one who attacks impulsively. It's the one who watches silently, letting the opponent reveal every weakness before striking. Your silence is not weakness, it is calculation. Learn to speak only when your words alter the course of action. Learn to act only when success is guaranteed. This is not hesitation, it is lethal patience. The fourth law is mastery of leverage. Every human interaction is a negotiation of power. The intelligent man collects leverage, while the emotional man wastes it. Knowledge, secrets, timing, and restraint are currencies far greater than gold. Never give more than you receive. Keep people dependent on your influence. Never fully empower them. Offer them just enough reward to remain loyal, but never enough freedom to outgrow you. This is not cruelty. It is strategy. Dependency breeds obedience. The one who controls supply, be it attention, opportunity, or resources, controls loyalty. Always ensure others need you more than you need them. That imbalance is where dominance lives. The fifth law is ruthless adaptability. Power belongs to the man who bends but never breaks. The world changes, alliances shift, and strategies expire. Adaptation is survival. The Machiavellian code demands flexibility without compromise. You must be able to evolve in tactics without losing the essence of your strength. If deception wins today, use it. If patience wins tomorrow, master it. If chaos creates opportunity, become its architect. Never be loyal to a single method. Be loyal only to victory. Adaptation is the fluidity of the powerful. It keeps you one move ahead, always invisible, always dangerous. Finally, the sixth law is strategic. Solitude. The powerful are rarely surrounded. They are observed from a distance. The crowd dilutes clarity. The Machiavellian man thrives in isolation because solitude sharpens vision. Alone, you see truth without distortion. Alone, you build without interruption. Most people fear being alone because solitude exposes them to their own weakness. But when you master solitude, you no longer crave distraction. You become your own empire. You no longer need constant affirmation because your purpose becomes self-sustaining. From solitude, your power radiates outward like a signal the world cannot ignore. Those who need company to feel strong will always kneel before the one who finds strength in silence. Dominance in the Machiavellian sense is not about destroying others. It's about making yourself unchallengeable. You rise not by crushing every opponent, but by becoming the kind of force that cannot be opposed. The lion doesn't chase mice. It waits for prey worthy of its power. Be that lion, cold, patient, inevitable. When you embody the code of dominance, the world begins to orbit your will. You stop chasing success, and success begins to submit to your gravity. Comment: I bend reality through strategy. If you're ready to rise above morality, emotion, and limitation, and walk as a master of dominance in a world built for the obedient. Number 8. The dark. Discipline. Turning pain, isolation, and obsession into power. The foundation of all greatness is discipline, but not the shallow discipline you hear preached by the mediocre. True discipline is dark. It is obsessive, isolating, and often cruel. It demands the destruction of comfort, the sacrifice of pleasure, and the death of weakness. The Machiavellian mind understands this truth. Success is not achieved by balance but by controlled obsession. You must become consumed with your mission until it rewires your entire identity. This kind of discipline is not fueled by motivation. It is sustained by necessity. You act because you must. You rise because you refuse to decay. The weak wait for inspiration. The powerful build momentum from nothing. Every day becomes a test of will, a jewel between your purpose and your excuses. The man who wins this jewel repeatedly becomes unstoppable because he no longer negotiates with himself. He executes. Dark discipline is not glamorous. It isolates you from the crowd because the crowd fears those who cannot be distracted. While they seek entertainment, you seek evolution. While they scroll, you strategize. While they rest, you sharpen. You will lose friends, attract envy, and be misunderstood. But that is the cost of elevation. Solitude is the breeding ground of power. When you cut away noise, you begin to hear your true voice, the cold whisper of purpose, guiding you like a blade through chaos. Machiavelli wrote that great men must sometimes act against mercy, faith, and humanity to maintain order. Discipline is that same cold principle turned inward. You must act against your own comfort, your own emotion, even your own doubt to maintain control. It's not about how you feel. It's about what must be done. Every action you repeat carves a scar into your psyche, strengthening your will until execution becomes instinct. Pain is your forge. Weak minds run from it, but the Machiavellian embraces it with surgical precision. Pain reveals where your limits hide, and through it you dismantle those limits one by one. Each hardship is an initiation into a higher level of self-control. When others complain about struggle, you smile because you understand that discomfort is currency. Every moment of suffering is buying you a piece of power that cannot be stolen. The man who is unafraid to hurt is the man no one can manipulate. When you learn to endure what others fear, you control them effortlessly. That is the paradox of pain. It becomes strength when you stop resisting it. You do not conquer by avoiding agony. You conquer by mastering it. The world glorifies talent, but it underestimates endurance. Discipline outlasts genius. A man of average ability but unbreakable. Willpower will defeat a gifted man who lacks control, because discipline is not an act. It is identity. Once it becomes who you are, quitting becomes impossible. You stop making decisions between ease and effort. Effort becomes your default. Every morning you rise not to chase goals, but to maintain dominion over your own mind. The Machiavellian man lives by systems, not moods. He creates routines that bind him to progress no matter how he feels. That's how he eliminates weakness, by removing the option to fail. Routine is his cage and his freedom. Dark discipline also requires emotional distance from results. You do not celebrate too soon, nor do you despair too early. The process is the reward. The moment you become emotionally addicted to outcomes, you lose control of the path. Detach from victory and defeat alike. Whether you win or lose, the mission continues. Your worth is not measured by applause. It's measured by your ability to keep moving when applause fades. The disciplined man never arrives. He evolves endlessly. He is too focused to be distracted, too structured to be broken, too patient to be defeated. This form of discipline will alienate you. It will make others uncomfortable because it exposes their weakness. You will be called obsessive, cold, heartless, and they will be right. But remember, greatness is born from those who are willing to become unrecognizable to the ordinary. You are not here to fit in. You are here to conquer. The Machiavellian mind sees obsession not as madness, but as mastery. When your habits become rituals, when your focus becomes sacred, when your daily discipline becomes your religion, you rise beyond the reach of mediocrity. Dark discipline transforms pain into precision, solitude into strategy, and obsession into supremacy. It creates a version of you that doesn't need permission, praise, or pity. You will bleed for your vision, but when it's done, you will rule over those who refuse to suffer. This is the path of the conqueror, the relentless march through fatigue, doubt, and isolation toward absolute command. Comment, "My discipline is my dominion." If you're ready to weaponize pain, embrace solitude, and rise with ruthless obsession as your creed of power. Number 9. The power of isolation. Becoming untouchable through solitude. Isolation is not loneliness. It is purification. It is the crucible where distraction burns away and only purpose remains. The Machiavellian mind thrives in solitude because silence sharpens perception and isolation separates the creators from the consumers. Most people cannot be alone because solitude confronts them with their truth. Without noise, they are forced to meet the hollow reflection of who they've become. But the man on the path of power seeks that confrontation deliberately. He retreats from the world not to escape it, but to study it from above. When you step away from society's constant chatter, you begin to see its illusions clearly. The manipulation of comfort, the glorification of weakness, the worship of mediocrity disguised as virtue. Solitude becomes your laboratory for domination, where your thoughts are sharpened into strategy and your emotions are tempered into control. The weak fear isolation because they depend on validation to survive. Their self-worth is fragile, borrowed from others' approval. The Machiavellian man breaks this dependency. He creates his own validation through results, mastery, and control. Alone, he becomes self-sufficient mentally, emotionally, spiritually. His solitude becomes fortress that no opinion can penetrate. He learns that attention is a trap, that constant connection dilutes focus, and that real power grows only in silence. In solitude, you learn the art of self-dialogue, the ability to command your mind instead of obeying it. You begin to program your thoughts, align your actions, and dissect your flaws. Without emotion, this process is brutal, but it forges clarity. When the noise fades, your purpose begins to roar. Isolation is also the birthplace of creativity and influence. Every visionary, strategist, and conqueror understood the value of withdrawing from the masses. Machiavelli himself wrote that the prince in exile, cut off from power, yet shaping it for centuries. Napoleon studied alone in darkness before commanding nations. Modern society fears stillness because stillness reveals truth, but truth is the foundation of control. Solitude allows you to detach from trends, from herd mentality, from the opinions that infect ambition. The man who thinks independently becomes unpredictable. The man who acts without needing external energy becomes unstoppable. Isolation doesn't make you weaker. It removes your distractions so your strength can concentrate. The more time you spend in solitude, the more dangerous your mind becomes. You start to see how every human interaction is a game of leverage. You see patterns. Others are too distracted to notice. You become strategic by nature, not effort. Your decisions slow down but grow sharper. You stop chasing opportunities and begin to design them. Solitude transforms you into an observer, one who sees what others miss, one who understands timing, psychology, and human behavior at an almost surgical level. The masses rush. The Machiavellian waits, and in that waiting, he conquers. But make no mistake, this power demands sacrifice. You will lose people who cannot understand your silence. You will walk away from conversations that once comforted you. You will stop explaining your dreams to those who lack the depth to comprehend them. That is the tax of greatness. You cannot build an empire while being addicted to company. Solitude is not punishment. It's purification. It removes the unnecessary until only excellence remains. And when you emerge from isolation, the world will not recognize you, but it will respect you. Your energy will change, your presence will command attention, and your silence will carry more weight than their noise ever could. The man who has mastered solitude cannot be controlled because he no longer fears being alone. He becomes the source of his own energy, the generator of his own purpose. His validation is internal, his direction unshakable, his focus unbreakable. When you reach this point, no rejection can weaken you, no praise can blind you, and no betrayal can wound you. You become untouchable, not because you built walls, but because you built sovereignty. Isolation becomes your throne. From it you see everything clearly and move with precision. Comment, "My solitude is my strength." If you're ready to retreat from the noise, embrace your own power and rise as a silent ruler in a world addicted to distraction. 10. The final ascension, becoming untouchable. The journey ends where it began, in the mind. Everything you've built, discipline, detachment, manipulation, strategy, isolation, all of it leads to one final transformation, becoming untouchable. Untouchable does not mean emotionless or invincible. It means unbreakable. It means you have reached a state where nothing external dictates your direction. Praise cannot inflate you. Rejection cannot diminish you, and failure cannot stop you. You become a man guided not by circumstance, but by command. A sovereign being operating with cold precision. The Machiavellian mind thrives here at the summit of psychological control. You no longer chase outcomes. You design them. You no longer seek opportunities. You create them. The chaos of the world becomes predictable because you have mastered the chaos within yourself. When others react to pressure, you orchestrate it. When they beg for mercy, you remain still. The world bends to your rhythm because you no longer compete, you dictate. To become untouchable, you must merge all previous laws into one: absolute self-mastery. Discipline gives you control over your habits. Detachment gives you control over your emotions. Strategy gives you control over your environment. Isolation gives you control over your clarity. Combined, they create a force of will that cannot be corrupted. Most men crumble because they depend on the external world to define their worth. But when your worth is self-generated, no one can threaten it. You can lose everything, money, status, comfort, and still remain powerful because your foundation exists internally. That is true Machiavellian strength, to stand in ruins and still command respect, to face betrayal and still move forward with composure, to be tested by life and respond with ruthless calm. The untouchable man is not without pain. He simply refuses to let pain control him. Every experience becomes data, every setback a weapon, every betrayal a lesson. And here lies the paradox of power. The more control you gain, the less you need to prove it. The Machiavellian king does not shout his dominance. He embodies it. His silence commands attention. His restraint radiates fear. His focus inspires loyalty. He doesn't chase validation because he has transcended the need for it. That is the final ascension. Not arrogance, but authority. Not noise, but inevitability. When you reach this state, you stop existing within the world's game and begin writing your own. The untouchable man doesn't hope for victory. He expects it. He doesn't dream of freedom. He lives it. Every move he makes carries intent, and every silence conceals power. You have trained your mind ruthlessly. You have embraced pain, isolation, and discipline. Now walk as if your will shapes reality because it does. Comment, "I am untouchable." If you've ascended beyond emotion, distraction, and doubt, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this is Machiavellian mode, and your transformation has only just begun.